Say goodbye to those Disney and Pixar films you love so much. They might not be coming back. Hey everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and I know I've kind of been beating the Pixar drum for a few days. I promise that we're going to take a break for a couple days after this one. I mean, there's still one more thing I want to talk about. One more thing, but I have a Movie Pass video that's way late at this point, so we're going to kind of cool it for a little while. But I was kind of inspired to do this one because I got into several conversations with people on Twitter and in my comment section, and one in particular that just started to aggravate me quite a bit, where people said that this was what they were talking about was Disney taking Pixar's Turning Red, which was supposed to be a theatrical release for March 11th, and putting it on Disney Plus on the same date, free of charge. Basically, if you already have a subscription, then you can just watch it. And a lot of people told me, and even said online, that this was the right thing to do. And it wasn't because of Omicron cases, it wasn't because of vaccine hesitancy, it wasn't even because people thought that it didn't look very good, unlike, say, Rumble, which Paramount moved from theaters to Paramount Plus, and basically nobody noticed, and when people watched it, nobody liked it. This is probably going to be very different. People very much notice, and people will probably like it. In fact, a lot of people are happy because it means they don't have to spend money on it. But when you realize that's the case, you start to realize that that sets a very dangerous precedent, not only for Disney, but for animation from the company in general. Now, I'm not going to go over again that it's very hypocritical of Disney, because if Disney really did not care about making money, then why aren't their movies being given away for free? You know, why isn't Cruella, Jungle Cruise, Encanto, why aren't those being given away for free? And the answer is pretty simple: because Disney spends a lot of money on them and they want a return on their investment. That is how movies work. That is how pretty much any product works. You want something, you pay for it. And yeah, sometimes you have to pay an extra entrance charge. But the way that I explained to someone, because someone told me, like, the thing that they were going on is that, hey, I already pay for Disney Plus, which you don't pay much, you pay $7, that's nothing. But I pay for Disney Plus. Why should I also have to pay for the movie as well? And you know, I think that's a flawed way of thinking, and let me tell you why it's a flawed way of thinking. A lot of you are probably members of Costco or Sam's Club. And Costco and Sam's Club are stores in which you have to pay to shop there. I think I spend $125 a year just to shop at Costco. It's an entrance fee. It comes out to about $10 to $12 a month when all is said and done. It's not unreasonable. But that would be like me having this attitude that said, okay, I have now spent $125 to go to Costco. I am now going to go into Costco and I'm going to take things out of the store without paying for them because I'm paying for that membership. Yeah, if Costco did that, it'd be a great deal for you and me. But it's a lousy deal for the people who's making the merchandise. What's more, Costco would lose their shirt real fast. So if that was a reality at Costco, I bet you wouldn't be seeing certain brands at Costco. There'd be certain things they wouldn't be selling, because what's the point? It's being given away. What's being taken is not enough to compensate them for that membership fee that you're paying. And that's what's going on with Disney Plus. Your $7 a month does not come close to paying for what Pixar spent on Red, or Turning Red, or what Disney spent on Encanto. And yeah, Encanto has been going viral since going on Disney Plus, because everyone's going to watch it, because of course, why wouldn't they watch it? It's free. But Encanto was no slog at the box office. It made over $200 million, and while that is not exactly a huge financial success for them, I think they did lose money on that. They would have lost even more money had it gone to Disney Plus. And what I've been trying to tell people is this is not the future of animation, because some people seem to think like, oh, well, Disney can put the big movies like Star Wars and Marvel movies on the theaters, and then for small movies like what Pixar does, they can put them on Disney Plus. And when people say that, I think they show a shocking lack of knowledge about what animation costs. These movies do not cost $30 to $60 million. These cost sometimes just as much as the Marvel movies. In fact, had this thing been in place 10 years ago, there are tons of movies that Disney probably would not have made if they were just going to go to Disney Plus, because streaming can reasonably pay for like 30, maybe $40 million low budget movies, but anything above $100 million, unless there's another revenue source to draw from, that project is failing. So let's look at some movies that Disney and Pixar have made in the past and whether or not they would have gone to Disney Plus. So, first one, Inside Out. Love this movie. This was actually selected as my best film of the year. This movie cost $175 million to make, just to make. Never mind to market. And throw in an extra $100 million for that. This is a movie that loses money if they go to Disney Plus. It would never have gone there, but in theaters it made $900 million. What else do we have? Frozen. A $1 billion hit. They made $1 billion off of it. What would have happened had Frozen gone to Disney Plus? Would that have gone viral? Oh, absolutely it would have gone viral. I bet the song still would have played everywhere. Wouldn't have made $1 billion though. It would have had no real monetary value. It would have been on a $6 subscription service where people could watch it over and over and over again. Why not have them go back to the theater to cover their $150 million budget? Which, keep in mind, whenever you see a budget, it means it costs a little bit more because I had to market it. What else? Wreck-It Ralph. $165 million. This is how much they spent on one of the Spider-Man movies. Not the new one that's out, but one of them. This would not get made today. Now, this didn't do as well as they probably would have hoped, but it still made money in theaters. But had this been gone to Disney Plus, never would have saw Ralph Breaks the Internet. Winnie the Pooh. Now this, at $30 million, this is something that you could put on Disney Plus, because this is the kind of budget that justifies being put on the small screen. Now, I'm glad they put this in theaters, because I actually saw Winnie the Pooh in theaters, and it was beautiful looking. Like hand-drawn animation, the big screen, there's just nothing like it. What about Christopher Robin? This one's close. $75 million. That's a little above what Disney wants to pay, but hey, you know what? I bet you if you fire Ewan McGregor, you hire some TV actor, and then maybe the characters aren't CGI, maybe they're hand-drawn or something like that, or the CGI is just a little bit worse, maybe this is a Disney Plus movie. Ice Age. Hey, maybe the movies could be Ice Age. Oh, no. Ice Age. $105 million to make. Not going to be getting a lot of Ice Age on Disney Plus. So what could you be getting on Disney Plus? Well, as established before, you will probably get Winnie the Pooh movies, because those are not expensive, and they definitely bring in enough money to cover that budget. You'll probably also see a lot of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And this is like just not even an hour long. It's just 58 minutes. And yet, this probably costs less than $30 million. I wouldn't be surprised if this cost $10 million. Maybe not even that. So this is the kind of thing you will see on Disney Plus. And Forky, maybe Forky can get his own movie, because this would be affordable to a certain extent. Like, I don't think you'd have to spend a lot of money on a Forky movie, especially if you don't have Buzz Lightyear, you don't have Woody, or maybe you have them in silent roles, because they sold a lot of Forky merchandise. What people don't seem to understand is that the economics of streaming are A, volatile, and B, they are still being worked out. But it is generally accepted that if you are going to send something to streaming, the only way it's profitable is if it's around the $30 to $35 million mark. Some people like to point to Netflix as like, well, Netflix makes how much money on their movies, and they spend $200 million on movies like The Irishman. and $100 million on Don't Look Up. Or I don't know what they spent on Don't Look Up, but you don't hire Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence in the same movie and not spend a lot of money. And there's two things you have to keep in mind on that. First of all, Netflix is very open that when they make those movies, they are going to lose money. They want those movies for the prestige. They want Netflix to get Oscars. They want Netflix to be taken seriously, and that's why they make them. But they admit they don't make money off of them. But do you think Disney cares about awards? They really never have. They have, their studio is like, it's kind of hard to think, but outside of the best animated feature and the animated shorts categories, Disney films tend to win the least amount of awards because they don't care. They want profitable movies. Do you think it is profitable for Disney or the shareholders to be putting $200 million movies once a month on their streaming service? It probably isn't. And you know, Netflix is starting to put more animation up. But the thing is, Netflix, by and large, are not spending $200 million on their animated films. They are spending very, very moderate budgets on their animated films. And I'm not saying a movie has to be high budget to make a lot of money, but let's look at some of the animated movies Netflix is making. They are making Arlo the Alligator Boy. I mean, that's not a very expensive movie. Disney could probably make that, and I kind of enjoyed this one in all fairness, but I did not enjoy this to the same extent that I enjoyed a lot of those other movies we looked at. They also helped to make Back to the Outback, which is, in my opinion, okay. And, well, I don't know what to tell you on this one. I mean, it was fairly cheap. It definitely is something that you give away on a streaming service. It's nowhere near as good as the other ones. Now, what about this? Now, this is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. It's going to be a dark, gritty stop-motion movie. And I forgot if this was going to have songs in it or not, but this is going to be Oscar-winning director, stop-motion. It's only going to cost $35 million. This is a budget where a streaming service can foot the costs. Oh, there are going to be original songs in the film. Sweet. But is Disney going to make something as awesome as this? I don't know. I would hope they would, but I don't think they will. I think things like this are a little too kinky for what Disney is doing. Never mind, there's other movies I didn't bring up, like Klaus, which was wonderful, but it also cost $50 million or maybe $60, and Netflix stretched the budget for that one just a little bit. But here's another thing that these movies don't bring. They don't sell merchandise. If people go to the theaters, they like the characters, they fall in love with certain movies, and they're like, let's listen to the soundtrack on their way home, or let's go to the store and get a Forky action figure, or let's get a dinosaur from The Good Dinosaur, which I also didn't bring up. You know, you don't have these reactions when people watch them on streaming. You don't make merchandise. They become forgotten. You dump them on a service. There's a reason that the Koi's dumped onto streaming is a thing, because when a movie's put in theaters, it builds word of mouth, it builds prestigiousness, it means that you are to be taken seriously because you are going to charge for your product and you are going to get a good time for your product. But you dump it on a streaming service, it gets forgotten within a week. No one makes any money. And the economics of streaming is also confusing when it comes to television, and investors and the public are starting to grapple with that right now. Most recently with Cowboy Bebop on Netflix. Cowboy Bebop reported millions of minutes watched of that show, and yet it was canceled in less than a month. Why? Because the economics doesn't make sense. Yeah, you spent a lot of money on it and it got a lot of people watching, but it didn't bring people into the service. You didn't sell any ads or anything, so what good is it? People wonder why Netflix cancels popular shows all the time. They cancel them because, yeah, these shows, they might get the views, and any TV network would kill to have those views. But they don't have advertising, and you're not paying extra for them. And it doesn't matter how popular it is, if it doesn't bring in new subscribers, then they're not going to make those shows. And that's why I'm worried. I'm sorry, my nose is itching. I'm really worried about Pixar in particular. Because Pixar movies draw people to the box office. And Disney makes a ton of money. And they are throwing money away. Excuse me real quick. Sorry, my nose was itching. But when you take a movie that would normally make a lot of money put in a streaming service, you're not making that extra money. Look, you want to understand how much this does not work. When AT&T made the decision to simultaneously release Warner Brothers movies in theaters and HBO Max on the same day, they were doing so with the hope that it would really bolster their streaming subscriber numbers. But it didn't do that. And when it came to the movies, they literally lit money on fire, because why would people pay to see it in theaters if they could stream it at home for free? And AT&T reacted by selling Warner Media to Discovery. That's what happened. AT&T did one decision, they did that, and they sold them. So what happens when Turning Red goes to Disney Plus and it does not result in an increase of subscribers? Well, I'm not going to make any guesses right now. I would like to think that Pixar is too valuable a brand for them. And they've got Lightyear coming out, which I'm almost certain will be a theatrical release, and I'll tell you why in an upcoming video. But it's just concerning. So all you people who love getting your Pixar and Disney movies for free, who love that you don't have to pay for them, you know what? Keep it up. But eventually, the Pied Piper must be paid. And if these movies are not making money, they're just going to stop making them. And then you won't have anything to enjoy. If you really love these movies, if you really want them to keep making them, you go to see them in theaters when they're available, or you buy the disc when they come out. I mean, it's within your prerogative to watch it for free on Disney Plus. Clearly, Disney's giving you that option. And maybe for some of you, that's the only thing you realistically can't afford. But don't you dare kid yourselves for 1 minute, not 1 minute, that this is financially beneficial to Disney or Pixar, or that it's going to be nothing but good for the future of animated movies. No, it's not going to be good for movies. And I guess I will make a little prediction. I think you're just going to see a lot of direct-to-video Cars and Forky movies, and maybe the occasional Ice Age from Pixar. I think the days of Inside Outs, of Good Dinosaurs, of Braves, of Wallies, you know, when they were allowed to take risks because if the movie was successful, they would be given that creative freedom to try an original crazy idea. I don't think you're going to see those types of movies anymore, because if Disney's not interested in putting them in theaters, they're not profitable, they're not going to drive subscribers to Disney Plus, and the only reason these ones are on Disney Plus now is because they were scheduled and budgeted years ago for theatrical release, and Disney changed their mind. But make no mistakes, Disney literally just lit $600 million on fire, and they're not going to do that forever. So anyway, I would like to know what you think of this. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.